Beware the Cyclones. Matt Campbell continues to defy the odds and once again has his Iowa State team in a position to make a run for a Big 12 title. But few outside of Ames are ready for that conversation, and few outside of Ames may be ready to believe that, which is why we're here to prove them wrong. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down Iowa State's schedule and prediction for this upcoming season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks, some of the best spread picks in the entire country. The earlier you sign up for those today, guys, the better. More exclusive content, more winnings for you. You do not want to miss out on that. Don't miss out on our weekly newsletter as well. You can also find that over on thegridironexpert.com. And send us some of your team's gear. We'd love to represent your Cyclones. We'd love to represent whoever your team may be in all of our videos. The link for that or the mailing address for that down in the description below. And again, we want to try to continue to expand our GE Nation. All the more reason to check out everything down below. So Iowa State, guys, I am excited about this team. They are kind of flying under the radar. They were not supposed to be as good as they were last year. Right before the season starts, they deal with the whole gambling scandal. They've got a very young team. They're coming off a 4-8 season. No one expected Iowa State to play as well as they did, but the Cyclones finished 7-5 in the regular season, had 3 one-possession losses to Iowa, Ohio, and Kansas. This very well should have been a 9-10 win team in 2024. But they fell short and then fell short to Memphis in their bowl game. So they're kind of flying under the radar. But now they have one of the most experienced teams in the Big 12 and a pretty good schedule to go along with it. And Iowa State could be challenging for a conference title in 2024. You take a look at their offense, guys. 10 starters are back. 10 starters are back, led by their quarterback and Rocco Beck. Over 3,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions last year. Really wasn't supposed to be the starter last year. Got thrust onto the scene and really, I think, exceeded expectations. Abu Sama is back after 614 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, although I should mention 386 of his 614 yards came in 2 of the final 3 games, including that massive breakout game against Kansas State in the season finale. Their top 4 pass catchers returned, led by Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, and all 5 of their offensive linemen return after giving up just 14 sacks in 2023. Some great protection for their quarterback, great running lanes for their running backs. This offense, guys, wasn't playing lights out football by any means last year, but they're going to take a major leap forward this year. Very excited about it. More excited, though, about the defense. They are consistently one of the best in the Big 12 under Matt Campbell. 6 of their top 7 tacklers return this season, led by Bo Frailer, had 107 tackles last year. Jeremiah Cooper returns after leading the team with 5 interceptions. Caleb Bacon returns at linebacker. Joey Peterson back on the defensive line, and that's just naming a few of the top players that return for Iowa State on defense. This team only gave up 22.8 points per game last year. They haven't allowed over 23 points per game since the 2019 season. This is a very, very good, tough, physical defense. And Iowa State has all the pieces this year. Now the offense to go with it to make that run to the Big 12 title. Take a look at the schedule, guys. It's pretty favorable. It really is not that bad. Some great home games on the slate. The road games are very winnable, I would add. You start with a win over North Dakota. All right, boom, 1-0. Then Iowa, the Cy-Hawk Trophy game, right? This is that one that I think could set the tone for the rest of the year. Can Iowa State finally get over the hump against their in-state rivals? Because, look, the Cyclones have been dominated in this series. There's no arguing that. They've lost 8 of the last 10 games to Iowa, but 4 of those losses were by 1 possession, including a 20-13 loss last year. Now, let's take a deeper dive into that game. The Cyclones trailed 17-0, but battled all the way back and had a chance to tie the game with 1:47 remaining, but weren't able to get the job done. You take a deeper dive again. They outgained the Hawkeyes by 55 yards. The Cyclones missed a field goal at the beginning of the game and then threw a pick 6 later on. You make that field goal, you don't throw the pick 6, you win the game. One could argue that Iowa State, who again was a very young team, like second week of the season, still dealing with all this youth and inexperience, Iowa State arguably outplayed Iowa in that game, but just one fatal mistake ended up costing them the entire game. The Cyclones did win over the Hawkeyes back at Kinnick Stadium back in 2022. They won that game 10-7. It's not impossible to win there, especially for Iowa State, in-state team that, is used to this kind of thing. I'm going to call for Iowa State to win this game. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked by that, maybe disagree with me on that, but this is a team that I think is more experienced than Iowa. The Hawkeyes returned tons of experience this year, but this is a team that's more experienced. I think this is a team that's more hungry. This is a team that probably should have beat the Hawkeyes last year. This is a team that is not afraid of Kinnick Stadium, but maybe some other Big Ten teams are when Iowa faces them. And this is an Iowa team that, despite the new offensive coordinator, I'm not fully convinced they're going to have everything put together by week 2. Iowa State, I think, will. Give me the Cyclones in a mini upset. I think they finally get over the hump. They beat their rival, and they're 2-0, and they've got a lot of momentum and a lot of excitement heading in to week 4 after their bye week. They cruise past Arkansas State in the non-conference. They cruise past Houston in their first ever meeting against the Cougars, as Houston's undergoing a major rebuild now with new head coach Willie Fritz. Not a lot of talent there, going to take some time. They should cruise past the Cougars. They come back home, they take on Baylor. They will beat Baylor in Ames. They won 30-18 last year, and while Baylor is going to be much improved, they loaded up on both sides of the ball through the transfer portal, going to be a lot better of a team this year than last year. Home field advantage plays a big role here, and Iowa State's defense is the difference maker, and what was a very subpar Baylor offense last year, one that I'm not quite sure is going to take off like people expect, despite the addition of DeQuan Finn at quarterback from Toledo. So all that being said, Iowa State wins that game. They are 5-0 heading into their road game at West Virginia. Talk about a strong start. You've got a Cyclones team now that's going to probably be in the top 15, going on the road to Morgantown with a pretty favorable schedule coming up after that game. But West Virginia is a tough place to play, as we know. A very tough place to play. And I think that 5-0 start can only last so long. Iowa State's going to slip up somewhere. I think their first slip-up is going to come at West Virginia, a team that won 9 games last year, a team that has their eyes set on a Big 12 title. We're talking about Utah and Kansas State and Oklahoma State and Iowa State, maybe even Kansas. And West Virginia is like, hey, what about us? A team that returns not 1, not 2, but 3 guys that rushed for at least 700 yards last year, including their dual-threat quarterback in Garrett Green. A team that is loaded up front in the front 7 defensively. With home field advantage, and with the West Virginia defense, I think can get enough push to force Rocco Becht into winning this game solely through the air. I think the Mountaineers get the job done. Can Iowa State's defense bottle up the West Virginia run game? I don't think they can, not with the dual threat capability of Garrett Green. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be one that I think is decided by one possession, but one that ultimately Iowa State falls short in, as I think West Virginia owns the slight offensive advantage and can hold their own with Iowa State defensively. And if you want a tiebreaker, home field advantage is that tiebreaker. So they fall to West Virginia. 5-1. Come back home to take on UCF. If Iowa State's not hungover, I think they beat UCF, and I think they win by at least a touchdown, maybe not more. I really believe that. If they're not hungover, UCF's going to be solid. No doubt about it, especially offensively. But their defense, despite adding some key transfers, needs some work. They allowed nearly 400 yards per game and allowed 194 rushing yards per game. Abu Sama could have himself a big day on the ground against this Knights defense. I don't think it's going to entirely be there yet. UCF better than people think. Can't wait to break that team down here in a few days. But Iowa State at home especially gets the job done. 6-1. They've clinched bowl eligibility, but that's not the main goal. But still, got it. 6-1 heading into their second bye week. And now it's the home stretch in the month of November where their season will be made. Where Iowa State will either go to another solid bowl game or they will find themselves in Arlington for a Big 12 championship. That's where it's made here in these last few games. They should beat Texas Tech. Off a week of rest. At home, and I'm telling you, Ames is not an easy place to play. People overlook it all the time, but they've got pretty good home field advantage. And off that week of rest, I think the defense does a great job of bottling up a Texas Tech offense. It's going to be strong, but it's obviously the strength of the team. You take away the passing attack of Baron Morton, but more specifically, you take away the rushing attack of Tosh Brooks, you're good to go here. It's homecoming for the Cyclones in this game. Their defense does the job against this offense, and once again, Texas Tech, kind of like UCF, they've got the offense to go with it. The defense, not so much. The Red Raiders giving up 160 rushing yards per game last year. Iowa State able to wear them down. They win number 7. They've matched last year's win total. Now they go on the road to Kansas. Kansas, no true home field advantage this year, right? Going to be playing back and forth between Kansas in Kansas City, Children's Mercy, and then, of course, Arrowhead Stadium, home of the Chiefs. Kansas, though, coming into this game, if they are fully healthy, they will beat Iowa State, and I believe they do just that. You can't predict injury, so we're going to hope and assume that Jalen Daniels does not get hurt again this season. When he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in this conference. Some would say one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Kansas comes into this game also off a bye, so a well-rested Jayhawks team that's going to feature maybe the best offense that Iowa State's seen all year. UCF will be solid. West Virginia will be solid. Texas Tech will be solid. But Jalen Daniels and Devin Neal, their top 3 pass catchers, and an ever-improving defense. Arguably, this could be the best offense that this Iowa State defense has seen to date. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to handle it on the road with a rested Jayhawks team. Give me the Jayhawks. A sneaky good team this year. A team that won 9 games, could challenge for a Big 12 title this year, to beat Iowa State and hand them their second loss of the year. Iowa State fell 28-21 last year. Expect a similar result this year. 1 possession, but the Jayhawks win. They come back home and take on Cincinnati. They should beat the Bearcats. Cincinnati going to improve in year 2 under Scott Satterfield, but not enough to come on the road to Ames. Last year at Nippert Stadium, Iowa State won by 20, and I expect a relatively similar result this year, especially with home field advantage. Then you got 2 games left. Only 2 losses. Not in a bad spot at all. But can they win both? At least win one against Utah and Kansas State. Well, I'll tell you right now, I don't think they're going to beat Utah. There are not many teams that can go into Utah and win. Salt Lake City is one of the most difficult places to play in the entire country. And Big 12 teams that are not used to playing in Salt Lake City will figure that out sooner rather than later. Utah is loaded this year. They've got their quarterback coming back and Cam Rising. Hopefully stays fully healthy. Brant Keithy back after suffering injuries last year. The defense, one of the best in the country this year, and one of the best home field advantage all the way around. Utah, to me, owns the advantage everywhere. They own the offensive advantage in this game, the defensive advantage in this game, and obviously a very, very good home field advantage. The Utes take care of business at home. They are one of the favorites to win the Big 12 this year, and they rightfully so. So Iowa State gets their 3rd loss of the year, but comes home to take on Kansas State on Senior Day. This is a game that could have Big 12 title implications for both of these teams, or maybe just Kansas State. Who knows? But regardless, it's a rivalry. It's Farmageddon. Come on. And last year, Iowa State won 42-35 as 10-point underdogs. Went into Manhattan in the snow, got the win. Abu Sama ran wild. They had 5 touchdowns of at least 60 yards. It was an unbelievable performance. And now at home, on their Senior Day, these 2 teams stack up very, very well with one another. Now I'm going to go with Iowa State to get another win over Kansas State. I think they match up well offensively. Kansas State going to be dangerous on the ground with a dual-threat quarterback and DJ Giddens coming back. I think Iowa State's defense can hold their own in that game. And I think Iowa State's offense, we saw what they were capable of doing last year. Kansas State's got a good defense too. This game, to me, going to be a lot lower scoring than what we saw last year, that 42-35 shootout. But at home on Senior Day with a stingy defense, Iowa State gets the job done. And they finish the year at 9-3. It might not be good enough to get to the Big 12 championship because they will have 3 conference losses. That's the heartbreaker there. But regardless, it's going to be another very good season, another solid bowl berth, an opportunity for a 10-win season. Maybe you think they beat West Virginia or Kansas. I don't think they're beating Utah. So maybe you choose one of those and give them the 10 wins. Maybe you don't think they're beating Iowa, but they beat West Virginia. So might still finish 9-3, but only 2 conference losses, which could completely change the standings. You switch them around the way you want to. Those are all possibilities. But I like them where they are right now. 9-3 season, getting a win over your in-state rival in Iowa, taking care of business against the majority of your Big 12 opponents. Cyclones continue to defy the odds. Matt Campbell continues to do amazing things in Ames. And 2024, no doubt, going to be a season to remember for Iowa State. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those expert picks, home to our weekly newsletters, so do not miss out on those. Go sign up for those today to become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.